You know what my problem with it is? The ellipse.
What we're talking about is a little movie that just came out recently. We went and saw it on opening night. Quentin Tarantino's 9th film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
That's right.
If you want to avoid possible spoilers, you can just mute the sound until you see the opening credits, or you can just jump right forward to the opening credits. When I see a movie that really excites me, I like to go to RottenTomatoes.com and read all the negative reviews. I want to see the dissenting opinions. And in this case, the dissenting opinions were pretty unimaginative.
Yeah.
It's too long. The story wanders around.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yes.
How is this movie any different from Pulp Fiction in terms of non-linear storytelling?
They're both very unique.
It's not so much non-linear as amorphous. Even the long dog feeding scene is completely necessary. When you get to that final 30 minutes, you see that all of these things that have been slowly spooling out over the thing, they all come together. It really felt like it was just a true period piece. It didn't feel like Quentin Tarantino's movie full of cool stuff.
It felt like he found a time machine and he filmed it back then. I was just in Los Angeles a few months ago. It doesn't look like that anymore.
So much of the soundtrack is radio commercials. That really sucks you into the time period.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people criticize the Bruce Lee scene, but that really went the way it should have.
And they also need to justify that he has the power in him to do the final act that he has in the movie.
He's that legendary guy that someone in the bar says, "You think Bruce Lee can't be defeated? There was this one time that there was this guy. I don't even remember his name. He knocked down Bruce Lee." He's got to be that legendary guy.
You know how old Brad Pitt is? 55 years old. There's a scene when he's up on top of the roof and he takes off his shirt. It got applause at Cannes. Oh, well done, Mr. Pitt. I don't know how to speak French.
I've got a bunch of movies that I've never seen before. You don't know what they are. Every episode, I'm going to spring one on you. It might be good. It might be bad. We'll watch it and talk about it. Welcome to the basement. It's never too late to change your career.
Oh, thank God.
No matter how old you get, you can still pursue a new and lucrative profession. You could learn how to excel in the stock market. You could learn how to succeed in business, or even how to get ahead in advertising.
I was just thinking the other day that I have never seen this movie.
Kapow! Released in 1989, HTGAIA stars Rachel Ward and basement alum Richard E. Grant. It was directed by Bruce Robinson, who had previously teamed up with Grant for With Noel and I. Robinson is also a basement alum, having appeared as an actor in Zeffirelli's Romeo and Juliet as Benvolio.
Romeo's boring friend.
When it comes to the high-profile world of business or advertising or what have you, a lot of your success comes down to who you know and favors you can do for people. Quid pro quo. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Well, with this gift, you can just go ahead and scratch your own back.
Back scratcher! Telescoping arm! Look at this. I can scratch the top of my head from really far away. Oh, there we... Oh, it goes down there, too.
All the junior partners need to report immediately to the big conference room where we have an old leather couch set up, and we're going to watch how to get ahead in advertising. Put him up. Put him up. Dennis Bagley is an ad man.
Oh, he's a hotshot.
He can sell anything to anybody because he knows that people are stupid.
Not everyone believes him, like this guy here. Is that Sean Bean?
Yeah, I think it might be. Oh, George Harrison. I've got my mind set on movie producing. He's got a new ad campaign he's working on for pimple cream.
You have got to give me a date.
All right, try Monday on him. And don't get so panicky.
No one can look at your scary, bony face and not be panicky. He's stuck, and it's driving him crazy.
Boils, boils, boils. What is he supposed to do with boils?
The most effective way of dealing with those troublesome little breakouts is Mother Nature's own.
Carrots.
We took essential oils of carrot.
Oh.
He has lunch with his lovely wife, Julia.
The moment I think of a boil, my mind slips into a sort of dreadful oily neutral.
Me too! And she tells him that he's drinking and smoking too much.
Dennis, for goodness sake, stop getting so paranoid.
And when my salad arrives, don't look at it. You'll wilt the lettuce. It's like his entire body is a skull.
Yeah, take a look at this.
What is it?
It's a photostat of an arse and a copying machine. You don't recognize it, do you?
Not offhand, no.
It doesn't have any boils on it.
Large, blind, fat girls with boils.
My favorite punk band. He yells at people on a train.
They're just putting these things in your head. They don't want you to like this, so that you'll buy this. I'm going to keep yelling at you until you're well and a ways off the train, and I'm well and a ways down the track. Thwack! There's a dinner party that night at his house. The dinner party seems to have given him a moment of clarity.
I have discovered that brains are being laundered daily, but it shall be no more.
One morning, Dennis snaps.
Advertising has driven him insane, and so he's just going to clear out all the advertising from his house.
Have you gone out of your mind?
I didn't think we'd be seeing that.
You know, I'm not surprised. With all that schmutz on him, he looks like Bob Geldof. I don't know why. I've never seen Bob Geldof in schmutz.
There's chickens in the toilet. The vacuum cleaner's in the tub. It's insanity! And he's worked himself so much that he himself has a boil.
Boating from your neck. You never had a boil before in your life.
You've been positively boilless up to this point, but now you're boiled.
I've got a boil.
The boil is getting worse. It's getting painful.
He's decided that advertising is one of the great evils of the world.
Dennis goes in to resign.
His boss tries to talk him out of it.
You're having a hard time of it right now. I went through a mental break about 15 years ago. I thought I was going to burn out fire because I was trying to sell hot things.
I started drinking water, sometimes as much as 25 pints a day.
Pints? That's not metric. You should be drinking kiloquarts.
You'll get through this and you'll come out a better man.
I can't bear it any longer, Julia.
I can sense it. It's coming soon. Her saying, I'm going to Mother's. These little birds show up. Cute, aren't they? Dennis Bagley, Dennis Bagley. All the time it's Dennis Bagley. And then they go away. Dennis goes into the bathroom to look at that boil and he discovers...
Hiya, handsome.
Oh. Dennis goes nuts. Julia calls Dr. Gaddy, who comes over and sedates Richard. Dennis.
He is running about, being chased around the grounds.
Said to give.
And eventually he gets a good stab in the anus. Yeah, you like that? Huh?
After a while, Dennis wakes up and he and Julia sit down to a nice dinner.
Do you think I'm going mad, Julia?
Going?
I think you're putting on an antic disposition until you figured out who killed your father. The boil has a few things to say to Julia.
Are you ashamed of your false teeth?
She thinks it's him talking, but he tells her, no, it's the boil talking. And she says, how can a boil talking?
Bœuf bourguignon.
Ragout of beef.
Ragout of beef!
Paris. We could leave in a week or so.
I won't look insane in Paris. I'll just look consumptive.
It's got nothing to do with me. It's the you-know-what.
The B-O-Y-L-E.
Stop saying the you-know-what.
All right, then.
Voldemort.
Are you there, Julia?
It's me, Margaret.
Dennis puts a box on his head and he decides to make a video.
He's impersonating Gwyneth Paltrow in Seven.
This video is the big truth about the world and where the world is heading and how to stop it.
You see what a nightmare I'm in. You see why I can't talk to you.
Who are you talking to then?
I don't like this vlog. I'm gonna stop watching this guy. Box, fish, sea greens, plankton, advertising.
Don't pretend you haven't noticed my cardboard box, Julia, because I know you have. Matter of fact, I'm very busy now. I better get back in there.
I'm going undercover in the recycling bin. He goes to see a psychiatrist. They try to get to the bottom of this whole boil business.
Come and lie down.
Because it's classic New Yorker style psychoanalysis.
Advertising conspires with Big Brother.
Your big brother? Richard D. Grant?
I'm one of the few who really understand. They've moved in on the greatest means of communication since the wheel.
You can't communicate with the wheel. Tell Matt. I'm going to be a little late.
I wonder who rolled this wheel at me.
Can you get an erection? Yes.
I have one coming out of my neck.
Now, we must reduce this guilt in two ways.
First, I'm going to impersonate 1980s Howie Mandel.
Psychiatrist says, let me see the boil.
Oh, God in heaven.
What's up?
It's got a moustache.
Dennis goes to the hospital for the night.
He's going to have that boil lanced, finally.
And then the boil says, I want to be in charge now.
It grows to the size of an entire head. Meanwhile, Dennis's head is shrinking to the size of an entire boil.
Sorry, dear, I get these nasty spasms.
Nasty Spasms, my other favorite punk group. Set to give.
How'd it go?
Terrific.
And I sneezed out this mustache.
Now that the Boyle's in charge, advertising is back on the table.
And he knows how to sell that pimple cream. We've got to make pimples popular.
It's just crazy enough to work. He even makes his music video with a very spotty young woman singing.
This song was surprisingly expensive.
Before I get a boil, it's the big night of Dennis and Julia's 7-year wedding anniversary.
We find out that the Dennis that was is now a boil on the neck of the new Dennis.
Can you speak?
Let me just talk to my wife. Show her the video. New Dennis says, no, shut up. The mustache really does suit him.
Yeah.
It makes him look a lot less like Dracula von Frankenstein.
You are a criminal ogre.
I was a criminal ogre on my last D&D campaign.
What type of crime?
Arson.
Arson.
Julia.
Seashell eyes, ocean smile, lovely.
Apparently he's insatiable.
Really?
Dick, 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 dick.
How many dicks is that?
A lot.
He is rocking that neck scarf, too. I like the Boyle better than the previous man. They're at the party having a nice time, and the Boyle starts talking and saying nasty things.
Why don't you shut your trap, you cynical old anus?
Cynical Old Anus, my favorite geriatric punk band. I'm off to gag my Boyle. Be right back.
I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue in your mouth. Hope you enjoy it. Now who's talking? Not you, glue mouth.
And Dennis freaks out. Ruins the party. Say it. I'm off to Mother's. Say it. She tries to talk to the Boyle, but she can't hear it, or it can't hear her. She gets that vacuum hose. Well, this is just silly.
Neckman tells her the secret. In the car, there's the videotape that was supposed to have been destroyed by Boylehead.
She puts it in and starts to watch it. Old boxy Dennis is there. New Dennis comes out and says, I don't want you to watch that. She says, I must.
People will either buy or they won't buy. Nobody's forcing them. Everyone knows what they're getting.
Perhaps they don't.
Perhaps. Ba-dum, ba-dum-la-bum.
Julia leaves him. But does Dennis care? No. He's married to advertising. He rides off on his horse. I hope he's building up to a song. Singing the praises of packages and billboards and slogans and all the wonderful things that advertising has brought to the world and that he's going to bring to the world.
Why should anyone have to clean their teeth without important new ingredients?
The hills are alive with this man talking.
You can't stop him! He's a Boyle!
I shall not cease till Jerusalem is builded here on England's green and pleasant land.
That back scratcher makes a very dapper jacket accessory.
I'll wear it out to all of my proper functions.
How to get ahead in advertising. We finally know.
You go absolutely insane. Insane through your work, insane through your pustules, and you grow a mustache, and you alienate your wife. It's easy.
Yeah, it's really the mustache. This is a very talky movie.
This is the most talky movie.
Toxic carcinogenic poisons. Avoid all contact. Do not inhale.
Man, this guy is just yap. And if we didn't have someone at the helm of it like Richard E. Grant who was really able to bite into those lines, it would have gotten a little dull.
But just because you like Richard E. Grant doesn't mean that you're going to like the movie. I know someone who didn't.
You didn't like it?
Not really. It's a series of arias. It's a tidal wave of words. No one else is given a voice. You hear a little bit from the boss, but he's basically saying the same thing.
And he's very dull.
So you liked it?
I don't think I disliked it. I wouldn't say I liked it. I'm kind of in the middle on it, I suppose. It's one that you need to think about for a while.
A lot of times I don't realize I like a movie until I see the finished product of our own show.
This came out 30 years ago. Is the satire still relevant?
The satire is very relevant still. It works as a satire. Much better than the other crazy-ass advertising movie we watched on the show. A lot of the same issues are still going on.
Greed has installed its lackeys into the highest offices in this land, and they're conducting a crime wave of unprecedented ferocity.
And this is its poisonous mouthpiece.
Yeah.
The inescapability of advertisement. More than Dennis even thought of, where we have advertisement made specifically for us because we clicked on certain things. We don't sit in our living rooms anymore watching TV. We bring the TV with us. And we can make the TV whatever we want as long as we take their advertisements. The final speech is basically a chart for the future. A chart of the last 30 years.
So let's talk about the boil. The voice of the boil was provided by director Bruce Robinson.
Oh, okay.
What is the boil? The boil's a metaphor. What is the metaphor?
Well,
he's ambitious. Is it the personification of ambition?
The first time I ever heard the word boil was in Bible classes. The plague of boils. So it might be something of a biblical curse upon the man because of this career that he's chosen.
And the boil also comes out of a sense of profound desperation. So maybe the boil is kind of a Faustian thing where, oh, this guy's going to come help you out. He's a boil on your body, and he's eventually going to take you over, but you'll have a successful ad campaign, and that's really what you want.
As the boil grows, the original Dennis becomes better and pure, and he's still crazy, but he realizes the folly of his ways.
So the boil is kind of draining this poison out of his brain, but when the boil takes over, he's just all poison.
Yeah. Classic evil twin having the facial hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of that facial hair, if there's anyone who can rock that mustache, say young Richard E. Grant. That man was born 40 or 50 years too late because he would have looked perfect in 1939 with the mustache and the cravat.
Telling us about the 39 steps.
Yes, exactly.
You know what word I hate?
What?
Pimple.
Pimple.
Can't stand it. Hate it.
Yeah, well, and of course it is never said in a positive way.
Yeah.
It's like boil, at least you can boil water.
I'm not crazy about the word boil either.
The OI sound is the most repulsive in the English language. That's why so many people don't like the word moist and toilet.
Yeah. Oh, I hate toilet.
I know.
I thought the special effects in this, while somewhat primitive, I loved them. I just wanted to watch that boil talk all day long.
I wish they had more of it.
There's so much in it. So many ideas, so many words, so many concepts, that you almost need to watch it a second time to really absorb it all. Yeah. But it's not the type of movie you want to watch a second time. Sort of like Sorry to Bother You.
Oh, yeah.
Same deal. I would never want to watch Sorry to Bother You a second time.
There is a line from Putney Swope to this to Sorry to Bother You. It's all the same thing.
It's a bravura performance by the lead actor. Several very memorable visual moments.
The head in the box. I've never seen that image in anything before.
But all the stuff connecting this performance and these nice moments is just not quite there.
Is this the most cynical movie we've ever watched on this show?
What about that French movie with the...
Le Weekend! This movie is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in comparison to Weekend.
It's Cinderella, because of those birds. That's a wrap on how to get ahead in advertising, and now it's time for us to continue moving forward to Seen It.
Seen It!
The movie we watched tonight was a very dark comedy, and so our Seen It theme is comedy.
Some of it dark, some of it not.
Kellen D. Wood. Have you guys seen There's Something About Mary? Besides a few moments that are a bit over the top, even for a gross-out comedy, it's a funny flick that sadly lacks a bit of heart. I think that that's a very intelligent assessment of that film, and I have seen it.
I've seen it, and I completely disagree. I think it has a lot of heart to it.
Okay.
It has Jonathan Richman as its narrator.
Oh, that's why you like it.
So it's got plenty of heart.
That's the only reason you like it.
No, it's not the only reason that I like it. I do think that the romance of the movie works.
And I'm so pissed off about the zipper scene.
Why?
Because it's hilarious. Ben Stiller is going on a date with Mary. He's in the bathroom. He gets himself stuck in a zipper. He's in pain. The parents come in. Keith David is one of the parents.
Marky Post is the other.
From Night Court.
Yes.
Is it the Frank or the Beans? It's a hilarious scene. It's so funny. And it builds and builds and builds. And then they show a close-up of the mangled penis.
I love that!
No!
It's like 4 frames of it.
The scene completely goes off the rail.
Oh,
you
no.
stop laughing and you go, ah!
Oh. No,
They ruin the whole thing.
I stopped laughing and started screaming. I saw it in Rice Lake, which is right on the Packers Vikings line. When Brett Favre shows up at the end of the movie, that's when the entire theater went silent. Because half of us were like, it's our God! And the other half was like, no. He is not the perfect man.
He's certainly not the perfect actor.
No, he is the worst. I count him as the third worst real-life performer in a movie.
Who's 1 and 2?
Number 2 is Truman Capote in Murder by Death. Number 1 is Dee Dee Ramone playing Dee Dee Ramone in Rock and Roll High School. Carrie Mathias writes, I loved Crazy Rich Aliens.
Crazy Rich Aliens.
I loved Crazy Rich Asians. Seen it!
Seen it. I loathe this movie.
Really?
For how much it worships the rich.
Oh, well,
oh,
yeah.
The rich. They're so cool. They've got such cool stuff. They've all got sculpted abs. But really, they're just like us. No, they're not. If there's anything that comedy has taught us from the court jester on down, is the rich are meant to be satirized, not celebrated. And that's exactly what this movie is, and I hated it for it.
I get what you're saying about the rich people. I'm not the biggest fan myself. But I think that is somewhat necessary to the structure of the film.
Okay.
It's a classic plot where you have the poor kid getting hooked up with a rich family. I like how they set it up after the romance, so that the actual plot of the movie was trying to tear them apart as opposed to seeing if they'd get together. And I like the fact that the woman who wins at the end wins on her own terms.
I see all these funny actors, Ken Jeong, Ronnie Chang, they're just not making me laugh at all. The only person who made me laugh was Awkwafina, who has the stupidest stage name I've ever heard. Tom Cruise. Seen it. Elvis and Nixon. I've been trying to get a hold of this particular shandango for a while now, perhaps. His most peculiar casting yet. Seen it.
Not seen it.
I've been telling you to see it for years. It's a really good movie.
I know you've told me to see it.
This is another movie that was really marketed as a wacky comedy, and it's not. It is a very muted comedy. Elvis and Nixon, who are two of the most impersonated people in history. And so Spacey and Shannon do a really good job of not doing an impersonation.
Yes.
It's very internal. Michael Shannon actually says, thank you very much. And it works. It does not come off as cheesy at all. It's a really interesting movie about these two people who live in this very rarefied air of power, and what happens when they come together, and how they do these chess moves around each other.
Around 25 years ago, I was down in the Memphis area. I was at some truck stop. They were selling little magnets with Elvis shaking Nixon's hand. And there was this couple there, and the wife said, honey, look at that. And the husband said, that picture's doctored. Austin Evans writes, I just watched Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Absolutely loved it. I honestly prefer Jim Carrey in a non-comedy role. Seen it.
I think this is technically a comedy.
I am going to say this without any exaggeration. Of all of the movies that I have seen of this millennium/century, it is the best movie.
Wow.
The storytelling in this movie should be incomprehensible.
Yeah.
And yet you follow every single second of the movie. There might be a couple things that you can argue about when it happens in the timeline, but it works. And it's so complex, and it is so funny, and it is so sad, and so creative. I do not like Jim Carrey in his dramatic work, because I think that he overplays it. But this one, he is somehow whipped into shape by Michel Gondry. He is playing a real, authentic person who's falling apart at the seams.
Well, that's a wrap on how to get ahead in advertising. And if you'd like to get ahead in having fun, you can go to our website, welcometothebasementshow.com. All of our episodes are there, and there are PayPal donation buttons where you can click on them and you can donate a one-time or a rolling monthly donation to support this show. I would like to thank Steven, who says, thanks, Matt, Craig, and Tona.
Hey!
We thank the rest of our donors, and we open the contents of our mail crate on another show that we do called Unboxing. That's coming up this coming Friday. There are record reviews, we answer viewer questions, and there's all kinds of surprises. There's even toothpaste.
It's toothpaste.
We want to thank you for watching, and now you can watch this.
It's not funny, Penny.
Miss Funny Penny. James Bond's friend. James Fonz. This is a knockoff. James Bond.
I've got a boil.